สวัสดีค่ะ Welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. So today I am going to make a dish called Tom Yum Hang, or that translates to dry Tom Yum. And that might seem weird to you because many of you will know Tom Yum as a soup, so how can a soup be dry? So this is basically a stir-fry version of that dish. And I was reminded of this dish because recently a Netflix documentary called Street Food did an episode on Bangkok, and this is one of the dishes that they featured. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a really, really good dish, a really simple one, almost faster than the soup version, but still has that same flavor that we all love. And today we're going to do a seafood version, which is the version that's featured in the documentary. So we're going a little bit luxurious here, but you can definitely substitute with other proteins if you like. All right, let's get started. Obviously, this being a tom yum, we're going to deal with our tom yum trinity, or the 3 herbs that you must have. First one being lemongrass. Just going to use the bottom half, so this is the whole lemongrass here. I'm not using the top part because there's not as much flavor in it. You can save it for tea. And for this, you want to cut off the bottom and then make really, really fine slices because we're going to actually toss it into a stir fry, and you want to make the pieces small enough that it's edible without being uncomfortable, okay? So really, really thin pieces. You can't go too thin, but you can go too thick. Now, galangal, again, for this, we want to be able to eat it, so you want to make very, very fine pieces. So from a whole piece, you make thin rounds. Galangal can be quite tough, especially if they're older. So I'm going to do, 5 pieces is good. And galangal especially, it's a very intense, strong flavor when you chew on it and the piece is too big. Not pleasant. Like, it's nice when it's infused gently, but if you get a big chunk of it, it's a little strong. So you want to make sure that your pieces are really, really small. Okay. And then the lime leaves. The kaffir lime leaves are the one thing that I will leave in large pieces, and then we'll just eat around it in the final dish because it's nice to have like lots of big green pieces around because there's no other green anything in this dish. That's not true, there's cilantro, but still, I want these in big pieces. And if you've got question around kaffir lime leaves, what it is, how to use, how to store, I do have a video on like kaffir lime leaves 101. I will link to that in the description below. You can check that out. Say it. Okay. I'm going to go through the other ingredients really, really quickly. Obviously, you got fish sauce, lime juice, super important for tom yum. Now, in my tom yum soup video for tom yum with shrimp, I usually add a Thai chili paste, also known sometimes as chili jam or nam prik pao. However, for this recipe, I'm not going to use that. You can if you want to, but it will become like a really sort of full, robust flavor. I want something more light and refreshing, so I'm going to omit that and instead use chopped palm sugar because that chili paste is quite sweet. So we're going to do palm sugar instead. And then I've also got quite a bit of chilies here because I want a lot of chili flavor, but I did remove the seeds, which is so not Thai of me. It's very un-Thai to remove seeds out of chilies. But for this, I want a lot of chili flavor without the heat, so I removed the seeds and the pith. You can leave it in by all means. I've got some shimeji or beach mushrooms. You can do straw, you can do oyster, any sort of Asian mushrooms that don't have a lot of strong flavor. No shiitake mushrooms and no button mushrooms are my only 2 conditions. And tomatoes, shallots, and then for protein, as I mentioned, we're going to do seafood, and I am splurging on ginormous shrimp, scallops, and squid. And if you don't know how to prepare clean and prep a whole squid, I do have a separate video for that for you. I will link to it in the description below and also up here. So the first thing we're going to do is sear off the seafood because this being seafood, you don't want to overcook them. Overcooked seafood is rubbery, doesn't taste good, especially squid. In Thailand, most of the time people just blanch them in boiling water, which is a lot easier and you can do, but the flavor is better when you sear it, so we're gonna do that. And it seems no matter how well I think I've dried my shrimp, they're always wet and continue to splatter on me. So you want to get this completely cooked, and in the end we'll just toss them in with everything and be done with it. Okay. That is done. Add a little more oil if you need to. I'm going to do the scallops next. Now with scallops, you actually don't want to cook them well done. They're actually better about medium. And with scallops, you can sort of see the doneness just by looking at the sides to see like how white they're turning from the sides. And so you want to get it sort of like a third of the way up before you flip them. And the other side should have a beautiful sear on it. So now we can see that I still have a band in the middle that's still sort of not done yet. That's exactly where I want them. And then finally the squid. Squid. Turning the heat on would help. With squid, if you're doing squid, you want to cook them last because they release a lot of liquid. And so, especially if you're doing a lot of squid, you might end up with just a pool of liquid that you have to get rid of. So I like to do them last. And then this way they're sort of picking up all the flavor from the seared shrimp and the seared scallop. One thing with squid is most people overcook them. They take like literally 30 seconds to 1 minute to cook before they become rubbery. Okay, oh, I love that they're picking up that nice grilled flavor. Okay, so you're looking for the squids to turn translucent, go from translucent to white. And then if you press on them, they're firm, they're done. Done, 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 done. One of the worst things to overcook is in fact squid. Now, depending on the state of your pan, if you've got burnt bits on the wok, you may want to clean it. But if it's not burnt, but it's brown, that's actually really good flavor you want to keep, so you don't have to clean it. So I'm going to keep mine because it's not burnt, but I'm going to add my herbs off heat because that pan's been really hot and I don't want to burn my herbs prematurely. So all the herbs go in, the shallots are going in, and the chilies are going to go in as well. I'm going to add a little more oil. And now I'm going to turn the heat back on. Just medium heat for now. You don't want to burn the herbs. And you want to just give it about 30 seconds just so the lemongrass and the galangal can infuse the flavors into the oil. And they really do not take that long to do that. And now I'm going to deglaze with some water. You can use chicken stock if you have some. And that'll pick up any deliciousness left by the seafood right into our sauce. Woo, look at that. That just looks good already. Palm sugar or chili paste if that's what you're using, and some fish sauce. And give this a stir to dissolve the sugar. So you want to make sure your sugar is chopped quite finely so you don't have to do this forever. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my mushrooms. Give it a quick toss. Woohoo! I'm going to up the heat a little bit now, and then all my seafood can go in. And I check to see how much liquid's in this bowl. If it's not that much, I just throw it all in for flavor. But if there's like just a ton of liquid, then you don't want to turn this into a soup, right? So the seafood's already done, so I am done. I'm turning this off. I'm throwing in my tomatoes at the end and just using the residual heat to stir and soften the tomatoes ever so gently. And oh my God, I almost forgot my lime juice. You want to go in with lime juice at the end because the less you cook lime juice, the fresher the flavor will be. Look at that. Luxury dry tom yum. Beautiful. For some greenery, I'm going to do cilantro. Woohoo! If you don't like cilantro, you can do green onions. Oh, there are chilies in the air. And that is it. Look how easy and quick that was. Very nice. Now you want a plate with a bit of depth because there's a lot of delicious sauce on there that you want to maintain. Yeah, that is the good stuff, my friends. Now I'm going to have this with rice. So let's take one of everything. A squid, a scallop, some tomatoes, and some mushrooms. This is one of those dishes you can't get bored of because the flavors are just so fresh. Okay, let's do scallops. We never eat scallops on Hot Thai Kitchen. This is the first time. We're splurging because we're fancy like that. Okay. Oh, so good. Let me tell you, when you put 5 chilies, even if you take out the seeds, it's still pretty spicy. But it's just perfect. The scallops is perfectly done. Nice and tender. The sweetness from the scallop meat goes so well with that tart, fresh flavor and the citrus aroma of the herbs. This is such... I don't know how to explain it. It's flavorful, but at the same time, it's light because we opted not to use the chili paste. But if you want something sort of heavier, more robust, definitely the chili paste would work. I've done it both ways. But this is more like a summery dish. It would go great with like a glass of sparkling something or other. So good. I hope you give this a try. You don't have to do all this fancy seafood that I'm using. You can just do all squid, all shrimp, or I suppose you could do chicken, but it's probably not going to taste quite like this. Another thing I want to mention too is because we sear all the seafood in the pan, I can really taste all the seafood juices in this sauce. Like that sauce is like a nice seafood broth right there. So if you were, say, lazy and you just like blanch them, it's not going to be quite the same. Okay, so just so you know. So I hope you give this a try. The recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. When you make it, send me a photo on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And I'm also on Pinterest for those of you who are pinners. Thank you as always for watching. And I will see you next time for your next delicious Thai